Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone for the reading session of Sri Adyatma Ramayana. So today we'll begin our reading from Ayodhya Kanda, chapter 5, Sri Rama's Forest Exile. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lankayate kirim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. So let us begin with the glorification of Shri Ramachandra. Lokabhiramam Ranarangkatiram राजीवनेत्रं रघुवंशनाथं कारुण्यरूपं करुणाकरन्तं श्रीरामचन्द्रं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीरामचन्द्रं शरणं प्रपद्ये. I take refuge of Sri Rama, who is pleasing to the people, who is calm and composed in the battlefield, whose eyes are like blue lotuses, and who is the lord of the Raghu dynasty, who is an embodiment of compassion and shower his compassion to all. I take refuge in the lotus feet of Sri Ramchandra. Jai Shri Ram. So let's begin the reading. Ayodhya Kanda, chapter 5, Sri Rama's Forest Exile. Lord Shiva said to Parvati, watching Sri Rama coming down along the road with Janaki and Lakshmana, and having heard about the episode of Kaikeyi's wounds, all the denizens of the city became extremely exasperated, sorrowful, and agitated. They said to each other, alas, King Dasharath was so enamored by a woman and was under the spell of lust that he had abandoned his most dear and truthfully righteous son, Sri Rama. How can he, Dasharatha, be called righteous and truthful? And that wicked Kaikeyi, how come she gave forest exile to Sri Rama, who is most truthful and affectionately benevolent towards all? Why has she become so cruel, pervert, and mentally depraved? O companions, we must not stay here any longer. Rather, we should also go to the forest today, where Sri Rama wishes to go with his wife and younger brother. Just have a look. Sita is walking on foot today. Alas, that Janaki, Sita, who is the most beautiful in the three worlds and who was rarely, if ever, seen by a male earlier, is walking in front of the crowd without any veil on her face. Look at Sri Rama too, who is the most charming and beautiful in all the worlds. He is also walking on foot today without any accompanying royal paraphernalia such as horses and elephants. This Kaikeyi is a demoness in disguise who has taken birth to destroy all of us. Brothers, even Sri Rama must be feeling greatly sorrowful and anguished by seeing Sita walk on barefoot. But what can be done in this happening? Destiny is very powerful and cruel. A man's efforts are totally ineffectual or in vain against it. Seeing the community of sadhus in such mental agony, distress, and agitated, sage Vamadeo, that is Lord Shiva, or a sage of Vedic period with the same name to that of incarnation of Shiva. Okay, so there some of them say that he is an incarnation of sage Lord Shiva, and he is also a sage. Okay, so sage Vamadeo came to them and consoled them. I shall make you aware of the reality. You should not worry about Sri Rama and Sita. So he's telling the people, the citizens of Ayodhya, something important. This Rama is not an ordinary person, but the ancient Lord Vishnu, and this Janaki is Lakshmi, who is famed by the Yog Maya. Presently, the one who follows him is the person of Lakshmana, is none other than the legendary Sheshanath, the supreme cosmic soul, Purushottama, accompanied by his delusionary powers, appear to have various forms. Endowed with the quality of Raj, he became the creator Brahma, while being richer in the quality of Sat. He is Lord Vishnu, who is the protector and sustainer of the three worlds. At the end of a kalpa, he takes the help of the quality of Tama and annihilates the world in the form of Rudra. In an ancient time, the same person Raghava had taken the form of a large fish and saved his devotee Vaivaswata Manu from drowning at the time of the doomsday. At the time of the legendary churning of the ocean, when Mount Mandrachal had begun sinking to the nether world, it was then that the best one in the Raghu's clan has assumed the form of a tortoise and had borne it on his back. During the period of the great deluge when the earth had been submerged, he became the boar and salvaged the earth on its snout. Similarly, he had assumed the form of a half man, half blind to give a boon to his devotee Prahlad and has torn the entrails out of his father Hiranyakashipu, who has who was a thorn-like demon for the three worlds with his nails. Okay, with his nails. Once, when the god's mother Aditi prayed to him on seeing that her son Indra was being deprived of his kingdom, at that time he has assumed the form of the dwarf mendicant Vamana and had begged to retrieve the kingdom for him. In order to destroy the tyrannical Kshatriya kings, he became sage Bhrigu's son Parashuram. The same Lord of the universe has appeared in the form of Sri Rama now. He shall slay Ravana and crores of other demons. The evil souls the evil soul's death, that is Ravana's death, is destined at the hands of a human being. King Dasharatha in his previous life had pro- propitiated Lord Vishnu with severe austerities and penances so that he takes birth in the former's household. That is why the Lord has taken birth as his son. That Lord Vishnu is Sri Rama now. There is no doubt about it. Now he shall proceed to the forest along with Lakshmana to kill Ravana. This Sita is the personification of Lord's Maya, which creates, sustains, and annihilates this world. The king or Kaikeyi are not in the least the cause of his exile. It was only yesterday that sage Narada had pleaded with him to remove the burden of earth. At that time, Sri Rama has assured himself that he would go to the forest the next day. Hence, all of you should not worry for Sri Rama. In this world, those people who constantly chant Ram, Ram, do not have any fear of death of any kind. Then how can one ever have any doubt that great Sri Rama himself will suffer from sorrows in any manner whatsoever? During the era of Kali, one can attain emancipation and salvation merely on the strength of Sri Rama's holy name and by no other means. The Lord, who is the cause of the universe, is playing sport in this world in the disguise of a human being to provide his devotees the benefit of enjoying and singing the praises of his visible form, having the characters, attributes, virtues, as well as for slaying Ravan. Besides this, he has assumed this human form to fulfill the wishes of the king, Dasharath. Having said this, sage Vamadeva fell silent. Hearing this, all the assembled seniors and wise ones recognized Sri Rama as the all-pervading Supreme Lord Vishnu. Thereafter, they left their doubts aside and started remembering Sri Rama, the Lord. So it's very important here that we understand this higher truth. Sometimes, even though we know these higher truths and we know that what our purpose of life is and what we are meant to do, we still go with the lower mind. We still put ourselves in the hands of the lower mind and get depressed and go into all those sadness and remorse, even when we are aware of the higher truths. Now, why does this happen? Because we give the lower mind the control to take over our life. So that's not how we should go ahead with our life. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, one who has control over the mind has achieved 90% of the purpose of his life, or he has reached me. He has almost reached me. That is, we have almost reached the Paramatma. We have almost reached Krishna just by controlling this mind. So we see how important it is to control our mind and know not to go with the lower callings or the lower or to hear the lower sounds, in the sense not to go with the not to go with our thoughts which are depressing and which takes us to the lower grades, to the lower levels. We always have to engage ourselves in the thoughts and in the words of the divine. So that's how we keep ourselves uplifted in this world, though it's like they give an example. Like though the lotus grows in a muddy area, it is never touched by any of the dirt, because that's how pure the lotus is, that it's always shining to it's always growing towards the sun. It always faces towards the sun, that the dirt does not touch it at all. So this is how we have to exist in this muddy world, by just looking at the divine and taking the guidance from the divine and keeping our mind always highly elevated in the thoughts of the divine. And that's how we are going to survive in this world without being affected by it. So here, very beautifully, the even though great sages, there are many texts, many people helping us understand this divine truth. And many times, even though we know this, we still sink in the sorrows of this world, because we engage our mind in the lower thoughts in this world rather than in the higher divine messages. Or maybe we might also have seen, like when we hear a very beautiful enlightening uh, or the words by some of the great people, we feel very happy, and we feel that all our sorrows have gone away for that particular moment of time. And then when we come back home and we engage in our everyday activities, we again go down. So this is because we have to constantly remind ourselves to engage, to keep hearing the higher words, the divine words of Srimad Bhagavatam, of the scriptures of Ramayana, and all the words and all the teachings of the divine, rather than engaging ourselves in the thoughts of this and the sound of the material thoughts of this mind. Yeah. Hearing this ceremony, all the assembled seniors, wise ones, recognized Sri Rama as the all-pervading Supreme Lord Vishnu. Thereafter, they left their doubts aside and started remembering Sri Rama, the Lord. Those people who would regularly and constantly contemplate on this secret. So we see how important it's constantly we have to contemplate on this. We hear it, we hear the message, we feel good at that point of time, and then we forget it. So that will not help us. We have to constantly contemplate. We have to constantly keep reading over and over again, because as people of this Kali Yuga, forgetfulness is we are very prone to forgetfulness. So we have to constantly contemplate on all these divine teachings. So who constantly contemplate on this secret about the nature of Sri Rama would have steadfast and robust devotion and dedication for Sri Rama based on sound, logical reasoning and wisdom steeped in knowledge of the truth and awakenings. So it's not just some all these are not just some, what to say, sentimental words or anything. It has got solid proof and logical reasoning behind it. So all of you are most dear to Sri Rama. So keep this fact always a secret. Saying this, Sage Vamadeva departed from there, while the citizens also came to realize that Sri Rama is no ordinary human being, but is the supreme macrocosmic soul called Paramatma. So there's a footnote here. Vamadeva advised the people to keep it a secret, lest the demons became aware of Sri Rama's true identity. Surely they will not fight with him and would not be at and would not be slayed at his hands. Also, Surely then they will not fight with him and would not be slain at his hands. Okay, that is the reason. So they didn't want to give the secret away that Sri Rama is the Lord who has come to kill Ravana, because then the demons will not fight. Okay. So also Sri Rama would not be able to play or act his part to the full. The whole divine plan of eliminating the demons shall go haywire if the secrets leak. Okay, so that's what they say. Meanwhile, Sri Rama entered the palace of his father along with Lakshmana and Sita and said to Kaikeyi, O mother, as per your orders, we three have come prepared to proceed to the forest. Let the father give, let the father give us his permission. When the Sri Rama had said so, the Kaikeyi got up herself and gave separate hermit-like robes and garments made of barks of trees to Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita. Then Sri Rama gave up his royal robes and ornaments, clothes, and accepted hermit-like clothes. Lakshmana too did the same, but Sita did not know how to wear them. She picked them up in her hands and hesitantly and shyly looked at Sri Rama. Then Sri Rama wrapped or draped that piece of cloth around her body over her normal clothes. Seeing this, all the women folk of the palace began weeping and lamenting. Then sage Vashishta was very erect, seeing them all weeping, and could not contain his anger and revulsion any longer. He angrily chided Kaikeyi, "O you wicked and pervert one, you have asked for the boon of sending only Sri Rama to the forest. Why then you give forest-like clothes to Sita? If the loyal, chaste, and devoted wife that Sita is wishes to follow her husband, Sri Rama, to the forest, then she must go with him fully decked up with all the ornaments and wearing all the magnificent clothes that she is already wearing at present, and should endeavor to minimize or reduce Sri Rama's trouble in the forest and make him feel happy and comfortable there as far as possible." Then King Dasharatha ordered Sumantra, "O Sumantra, bring the chariot." Okay, there is a footnote here. Sita had already disposed all her ornaments on the order of Sri Rama and had given them to sage Vashishta's wife, Arundhati. In the previous chapter, we saw that. As for the clothes, it's obvious uh, from this chapter that Sri Rama had wrapped the like the clothes overall on and around Sita and other garments that Sita was already wearing. Hence, we conclude that Sita went to the forest with proper clothing on as befitting her stature as the daughter-in-law of Ayodhya, but without extravagant jewelry and costly ornaments. So she was wearing the normal clothes and the normal ornaments, but not as a royal queen or a princess. She was only wearing basic ornaments worn by a married woman, as directed by sage Vashishta, as the verse number 40. Okay, in this one. These three, Sri Rama and others who are dear to those living in the forest, shall go there on a chariot. Saying so, Dasharatha looked at Sri Rama along with Lakshmana and Sita. He was overcome with grief and remorse and fell down on the floor and wept bitterly with tears rolling down from his eyes. Then, even as Sri Rama watched, Sita hastily boarded the chariot. It was Sita who first, okay, there's a note here. It was Sita who first rode the chariot, even as Sri Rama watched. Sita represented the cosmic Adi Shakti, the cosmic supreme infinite energy, which has manifested or revealed from time to time in the form of Durga, Kali, Parvati, etc. This seemingly innocuous incident has great symbolic significance, that the cosmic Shakti has taken the initiative to fulfill the work of the gods, which was Ravana's death. Sri Rama was simply following her, not leading her. So, see how beautiful it is. Yeah, they say that the will of the Lord, the Sankalpa is done by the Purusha or the Supreme Lord. So, in order to fulfill the Supreme Lord or the Purusha's Sankalpa, the Shakti or the Stri, here it is the Maya, the Yoga Maya, she takes the initiative in order to fulfill his Sankalpa. So that's what we see. Everything is actually the Sankalpa of the Supreme Purusha. And the Shakti and the duty of the Shakti is to fulfill that Sankalpa. And she is very powerful. She's very powerful and very ready in order and she is like the first one to step ahead in order to fulfill that sankalpa of the Supreme Lord. So that's what we see here by the actions of Mother Sita. So it is the Supreme Lord who makes all the sankalpas, and as his energies, as his shaktis, we as his Jiva Shakti or under the guidance of Mother Sita or Mother Lakshmi or the Adi Shakti, we are all under her guidance or under her protection. So under her guidance, our nature also should be towards fulfilling this sankalpa of the Supreme Lord. So that is why it's very important to be always under the divine guidance, under the divine Shakti, so that we also fall into her nature of wanting to fulfill the Lord's desire. So it's a great example of what Mother Sita shows here. This seemingly innocuous incident has great symbolic significance that the cosmic Shakti has taken the initiative to fulfill the work of the gods, which was Ravana's death. So that is the Sankalpa of the Lord. And Mother Sita is taking the initiative to fulfill that. Sri Rama was simply following her, not leading her. We see this even in Krishna Leela, where Krishna has a desire. And the person who takes the initiative to fulfill that desire is Srimati Radharani. We see in the Vrindavan Leelas. She takes, and it is also said, Paurnamasi. She is the one who is organizing or arranging all the Leelas for Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So it is the Shakti which is taking the step ahead in order to fulfill the desire of the Purusha or the desire of the Supreme Lord. So here we see that. So what happens there is, so when Radharani is arranging all the paraphernalias, or Purnamasi is arranging everything for the Leela of the Lord just simply follows it. He just simply follows it, and he plays around with what they have arranged for him. So that is what. So the duty of the Purusha is only to make the sankalpa, and the rest of it, the Shakti will take care. She will do everything, and all he has to do is just follow her. So Sri Rama was simply following her, not leading her, because she is in charge now to make his sankalpa work. Now it is her part to play. By boarding the chariot first, she indicated that she was in the lead and symbolically told Sri Rama not to hesitate or be reluctant any longer. She seemed to say, I am in charge now. That's what we see here. So that's beautiful. Then Sri Rama encircled his father as token of showing respect to him and mounted the chariot. Behind him boarded Lakshmana, armed with two bows, two swords, and quivers. When he asked the charioteer to start for the journey, King Dasharatha interceded, calling out, "O Sumantra, stop, stop." Okay, there's a footnote here. How contradictory indeed. The verse number, okay, we are reading verse 45, 44, 45. So the verse 41 to 42 tell us Dasharatha ordered Sumantra to bring the chariot. And now in verse 45, he attempts to stop him. This shows the great mental tumult and upheaval through which the old man was going. On the one hand, where his woes and his reputation as being true to his words, and on the other was his love for his dearest son Sri Rama. This is very heart-rending scene. One is moved sufficiently enough to have empathy with Dasharatha and have pity for him. So you see how that curse on him is working so much that uh, the troubles through which Dasharath Maharaj goes through, and though it was all predetermined or it was all planned, but then if this curse was not there, he could have maybe lived his 14 years of life in Ayodhya and waited for Lord Rama to return back. But we see how strong the karmas or the karmic bonds are, and it is very difficult to break out from them. But Sri Rama told him, move on, and proceed hastily. So Sumantra moved the chariot forward. When Sri Rama had gone some distance, the king fainted and fell on the ground. Thereafter, all the residents of the city, children, elderly, and sages and seers, ran behind the chariot, wailing and shouting in dismay and anguish of separation. Stop, Rama, do not go. Oh, Rama, please stop. The king went on weeping for a long time. Then he instructed his attendants, take me to the residence of Kausalya, Sri Rama's mother. Staying there, staying there, this tormented soul of mine can survive for some time, but I will not be able to live for long now without Sri Rama. Then, as soon as he reached Kausalya's palace, the king fell unconscious on the ground. After that, when he regained consciousness after a long time, he sat quietly in a daze. So he has left Kaikeyi's palace and gone to Kausalya's. Here, Sri Rama reached the banks of river Tamasa and stayed there comfortably. During the night, he did not eat anything but drank only water. And along with Sita, he slept under a tree while Lakshmana, along with Sumantra, protected him armed with a bow. The citizens who were following the chariot from behind finally caught up. All the citizens came there and stayed near them for the night. They were determined that neither they would take Sri Rama back to Ayodhya or else either they would take Sri Rama back to Ayodhya or else they shall accompany him to the forest. When Sri Rama came to know about their determination, he was in a quandary and great perplexity, thinking that since he will definitely not return to Ayodhya and they, that is the citizens, would unnecessarily suffer in the forest, he called Sumantra aside and said, O Sumantra, bring the chariot for me and we shall move ahead forthwith. So when they are sleeping, when the citizens are sleeping, Rama decides to go. Sage Vamadeva had enlightened the wise ones about the true nature of Sri Rama. This is a footnote of Sri Rama in the previous verse. And so they were not the ones who had run behind the chariot to the forest. It were the ordinary folks, as well as those who could not contain their sorrow and anguish of separation, who ran behind Sri Rama. So the one who was enlightened by sage Vamadeva, they stayed back, they understood what is the purpose. So others are the ones who ran behind him. Being thus instructed by Sri Rama, Sumantra yoked the forest to the chariot. Then Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita boarded it and swiftly moved on. They took the chariot towards Ayodhya for some distance and then turned towards the forest. When the subjects woke up the next morning and found Sri Rama missing from the place, they were extremely sad, remorseful, frustrated, and exasperated. They followed the marks made by the wheels of the chariot and traced their path back to Ayodhya. But at the crossroad, they lost its track. They spent their days fondly remembering Sri Rama and Sita in their hearts. There is a note. It's obvious that Sumantra drove back to an intersection near the city and then turned on a paved road leading away from the city instead of soft ground, so that the marks of the chariot wheels were not visible and people could not know whether the chariot had turned right or left and had gone straight in the direction opposite the city. It was a clever route adopted by Sumantra to beat the track, as it were. Here, Sumantra moved his chariot with due respect. Then Sri Rama saw the vast countryside of the realm and arrived at the banks of river Ganges at Shringwarpur. Seeing the holy city, he happily bowed his head and bathed in it. Then Sri Rama, who was the best in Raghu's clan, sat down under the shade of the Shesham tree. Around this time, Guha, the chieftain of the Nishad, the boatman community, heard that good news by word of mouth about the auspicious arrival of Sri Rama. As soon as he heard it, in order to meet his only friend, Lord Rama, he collected fruits, honey, and flowers with a cheerful mind and went there to meet him. He put these gifts in front of Sri Rama and fell before him like a stick. Then Raghava immediately picked him up and embraced him. When Sri Rama asked about his well-being, Gupha replied with folded hands, O Lok Pavan, one who purifies the world, I am privileged and feel honored. My taking birth as a Nishada, a boatman, has borne fruits and I feel fully rewarded. Oh, the most exalted in Raghu's clan, I feel extremely glad and exhilarated by your physical presence. This kingdom belongs to you, O Sri Rama. You stay amongst us and protect us. Come, enter the city. and purify my household. O Lord, please accept whatever fruits and roots that I have collected for you. O the most exalted God, I am your servant. Show your munificence and benediction on me. Sri Rama was very pleased and replied, O friend, listen, I cannot go to a village or house for the next 14 years, and neither can I eat fruits, roots offered by others. O friend, all of your kingdom is mine, and you too are my most dear friend. After that, Sri Rama asked for milk of the Vath tree, the banyan tree, the sap of the banyan tree, and along with Lakshmana, matted and tied his hairs properly. The sticky sap of the banyan tree is used by hermits to tie the hair into a tress and then pile the tresses on the top of the head like a pyramid or a crown, meaning matted hairs. Lakshmana made a bed of grass and leaves, and Sri Rama, accompanied by Sita, seated himself on it and slept on it like he used to do earlier on a bedstead placed in his palace in Ayodhya. Near him, Lakshmana, armed with a bow, arrow, and a quiver, and accompanied by Guha, who also armed with a bow, sat vigilantly alert to protect Sri Rama while he slept. Now, this is the second night of the exile. So, with that, we come to the end of the fifth chapter. So, thank you for joining in. We'll continue the reading in the next session. Jai Shri Ram.